say in Italian, and
you don't know any. You can say
ciao.
buonasera.
Yeah, I was gonna say buongiorno, but I didn't. I thought that was good morning, and it's not morning. So I froze. I'm sorry, guys. Hi.
I think buonasera is appropriate.
Buonasera. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Book Club for Movies. It's Amy and Samir here once again. It is Thursday, April 8th. We are just plowing through our Oscar month. Happy to be here, Samir. Happy Thursday. How are you doing?
It's been a very busy day, and this week seems to be just flying by.
It does a little bit.
Luke, also that. You look like a 20s newspaper editor.
I try.
Just missing a cigar.
Anywho.
Oh, goodness.
How's everyone doing today? Remember, if you haven't watched this before, go ahead and give us a comment. We will be continuing our movies about movies genre Thursdays with Federico Fellini's 8.5, which is what my outfit is supposed to be. Yeah. But before that, yesterday we talked about Halle Berry and specifically her Oscar-winning role in Monsters Ball. So this was the movie.
This was the movie. It's a weird poster.
I think this
smiling
poster was like a newer poster. I hadn't seen this before. This was a little bit different from the original film poster. I know Heath Ledger wasn't featured as prominently on the original. Yeah. So, okay, one thing I noticed. So I watched this on Hulu. I do own it on DVD, but I was just like, I don't know, lazy. Didn't want to get my DVD out. And I watched I don't know. I was watching it, and one of the standout moments of this film is the infamous sex scene. And watching it on Hulu, I was like, this isn't as bad as I had remembered as far as like how long. Like, it seemed like it went by a lot faster. And then I noticed that my DVD version is like an extended cut. So I think the version that I own is longer. Yeah, so in
there
this version, I was just like, wow, I completely blew that out of proportion.
I thought the same thing, because I was like, where's this? Sorry for the motorcycles outside. Hold on a moment while I go fix my window. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but if you see the extended cut, it is a little more lengthy and graphic. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with this movie to know exactly what the extended moments were, except for that scene.
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel like it was a shocking scene. But that was kind of the press sort of reported like this like the incredible scene. I think the shock for most people was just like, we're seeing boobs, we're seeing Billy Bob Thornton's ass. Like, oh my goodness, what a surprise! Stars are being made. There's maybe that was why people kind of overhyped it. I kind of agree with Walter. It was fine. The movie was fine, with a few special moments. Her performance obviously is like, I think, towers above everyone else's.
I think
in the film, Heath Ledger is very good, but she's obviously the real shining light of this movie.
I thought everyone was great in this, performance-wise, all the way from. I mean, of course, I have a deep love for Billy Bob. I thought Peter Boyle was great as like the horrible racist grandpa. And even Sean Combs, he had his little moments.
He did. They didn't really ask him to do a whole lot as an actor. He kind of kept the one look and the one emotion, like in the scenes that he had. So he kind of, he gave them what they needed for the scenes, though. I would say that it wasn't. I wouldn't say that the role itself was particularly impressive, like, or asked for a lot of him, because he kind of had to be in this one zone. And so I wasn't like blown away, but I was definitely impressed at how well he fit into the rhythm of the film and how natural he looks on a movie screen in the scene. Because, you know, there's always, with a lot of people who transition from being a star in one media to another, there's always a little bit of like carrying your persona over into it that you kind of have a hard time shaking. And it seems like he didn't do that. He just kind of got into the flow of it, and it worked really well. I was a little, I wasn't sure how you felt about this transition in Billy Bob Thornton's character, because I wasn't sure where that transition was. He just sort of stopped being racist all of a sudden, which was for me a little problematic because, you know, it's not, I guess maybe is his son, all of these things, maybe those are the catalysts, but I didn't see much of like a mark of a change in his character to show that like, oh, he's changed from who he was before. So I was kind of confused at like how that process happened. I'm like, if only it were that simple. I would love that people could just be like, you know what, this is wrong, and I'm going to stop. We'd be in a much better place. But so at least, you know, it's nice that he changed.
It was a sudden transition. I think the moment where you know, he even kind of like hesitated a little to go help Halle Berry and her son, who had just been hit by a car. I think that was the changing moment for him, not even his own son committing suicide right in front of him. This movie's dark, if you guys haven't seen this.
Yeah, I was more of the, you know, I think I was confused by that little moment too. I was like, you know, is he going to go back? Is he not going to go back? What's he going to do? Like, obviously I know he's going to go back because that's how this story, it explains how he meets her really, or develops a relationship with her through that moment. But it also felt just like a lot of people drive by things, and I think everybody kind of questions for a second. As much as most people would like to think they would just pull right over, a lot of people, I think, drive past for a minute and like they have to wrestle with their conscience a little for like, okay, do I want to get involved in whatever this thing that's happening is? And I sort of felt it more like that because I couldn't define that as the moment when he shifts.
Well, I think that
was like maybe just the grief that he's sharing with her is the catalyst for it. That was a little unclear, and I wish that the script and the movie had been more forthright in sort of delineating this change and what about this relationship with her is the thing that makes him change. Because that was a little unclear, but I really loved her in this movie. Even though I feel like sometimes they give her very Hollywood style makeup at moments, and I'm like, okay, you're supposed to be like almost getting evicted from your house in Georgia, but you have this perfect makeup glow like at this moment when you're running to to get your job. And I'm like, okay, that's a very Hollywood moment. Like they should have remembered not to make her look so glamorous all the time because it didn't quite suit the story sometimes.
That is.
I was like, well, you know, it didn't win an Oscar for makeup and hair, so
yeah,
it's like not anyone else's fault. But yeah, I think for me the best thing about this movie is still Halle Berry. It's easy to see why she won this award. I don't know that there's any other role before this where they really challenged her to do this much as an actor. And you could see in this movie, like she is more than just capable of it. Like it's a shame that she isn't getting more great roles. You know, it's lovely that she's getting great work, you know, well-paying work from major Hollywood studios and big budget movies. I think she's ready for another dramatic like role. I think it's almost like, well, why aren't you giving her one? Based on this movie, I feel like a lot of directors should have wanted to cast her in more of these kinds, not this specific kind of movie, but more dramatic films, more varied roles. It's interesting, like that the quote that you mentioned yesterday about how her career and her interpretation. Like I thought this was going to open doors, you know, and it didn't really change her career that much, other than now she has an Oscar and she has this pedigree that comes with her for being an Oscar winner. But like normally, like you should suddenly be like, you should be in the conversation for a lot of really great roles. And I don't know that people are including her in that conversation. And watching this movie, I'm like, well, why are you not doing that?
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know if we'll ever know. But if you didn't see Monsters Ball, it is on Hulu. Again, very dark, very dramatic, with just so many amazing moments in this movie. Just heart wrenching. Um, yeah, and let's fingers crossed that Viola Davis will win Best Actress this year and be the second Black woman to win that award. Finally,
I think she will. It's my prediction.
let's hope, because Viola Davis needs that Oscar. We know where
She's more Oscars, really.
Needs more Oscars. She needs all the Oscars. Yeah, but this movie, I really enjoyed watching this again. And the extended cut is not as depressing as Luke is insinuating.
Well, I mean, it's like there's more. Like that's the thing is like you set everybody up for this like depressing, dark, disturbing, down in the dumps like reaction to the film. And you're like, there's more of the film to watch. Like I think the natural assumption would be that there's more of this story. It's not
there's
going to
more
be,
of the
well, here's the happy ending that we wrote in where like nobody dies.
No,
and this is a future fantasy world where racism is eradicated. Like obviously we're not getting that in the extended cut. We're gonna get probably more fleshing out of the story.
But definitely, I mean, this is like one of the weirdest love stories I think I've ever seen. Where it's like Billy Bob's like, he's actually like turns out to be really sweet. But like, I don't know. And like super, I don't know, attentive of her needs. And
yes, those are the moments that I felt the movie was sort of veering a little bit into fantasy land for me, like less a realistic relationship than like, hey, everything, look how much he's such a much better person now. And look, he did all the right, perfect things. He suddenly became this like perfect person like overnight. So I was like, okay, give me more of that story. I feel like there's more. So maybe that extended cut, maybe there's a little bit more of that between them. I wanted to see more of them together.
I'll have to revisit the extended cut. It was like, I think it's like 5 minutes longer, and again, half of that's probably.
Is it all the sex scenes?
It really, I think a good half of it is.
Oh no! Well, when you do, let me know when you do watch it again. I'd love to hear like if you can pick out any of the other things where they kind of added a couple shots here.
If I get the chance, I'll try to watch the extended cut with this being like fresh in my mind. But if you didn't see this, again, it's on Hulu. Definitely worth watching for some terrific performances all around. Before we move on, let's do our Name That Movie. Let me double check. I haven't seen either one of these movies. I want to make sure.
Really?
I get the order.
I'm surprised at how many times you're saying that, Amy. I've seen your DVD wall.
I know. Okay, wait. I want to double check. All right, here we go. So, guess the image. Guess the movie based off of the images. Here's the first one.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Oh, I definitely know what this is.
I have not seen this.
This is the movie I actually tried to get on the schedule months ago, but you refused.
All right, if you know what this is, go ahead and type it in the comments.
I don't know if anyone else is going to know it because I think this movie is not quite as famous as this book may suggest anymore. At least it was released 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
God, 30 years ago. I owned this on DVD when it came out. I was not old enough to see it in the theaters when it came out in theaters, though, by myself, technically. But I'm almost positive I did see it in the theater with somebody.
All right, we're not getting any. Not getting any guesses.
Nobody knows it.
Do you want to go ahead and say it, Samir?
I know it. It's The Grifters.
The Grifters, yes.
with Annette Bening and John Cusack and Angelica Houston. Amazing movie by Stephen Frears. Also very twisted, really messed up characters and story. Great story. Great movie though. I love that movie. And that Benning's young and fresh and fabulous in it too.
All right, here's
what's the next one?
This is from several decades before that.
Oh, that one, that last image was familiar, but I'm not placing it yet.
Not Indiana Jones.
Does it say flamingo on the case?
It does. This is from the 1950s. No,
God, it's like right there. I cannot. No, Wall Street's the 80s. This one's a 50s movie. I believe Amy said.
Yeah,
God, it is not coming to me, but it's like right there. But I can't think of the title.
I haven't seen this either, so I'm not judging.
It's like it's right there, but I can't. You'll have to tell me. I don't unless somebody else knows it. Somebody, if you know it, type it in.
This is anyone? This is The Killing.
Damn it!
Is that what you were thinking of, maybe?
Luke? Or me? I thought you said, is that what you were thinking of?
You, yeah.
Oh, no. I thought The Killers, not the, I always get those titles confused because they came out around the same time.
Well, that would have been.
I was wrong, but no, I remember the image of the man carrying him. That image was in my brain, but I couldn't remember what movie it was from. But I remembered that image more than the others. So these were tough ones today. I got one of them.
They were. But thank you all for playing. All right. Let's move on to 8.5. One of the most famous films ever on all of the top film lists in the top 10. Usually one of the most influential films for all filmmakers after this. This is like David Lynch's favorite movie. It's Martin Scorsese's favorite movie. The impact of this film cannot be overstated. And look, someone said it's Anouk Aimée. My name's on the poster.
Oh.
And that's what's important. Okay, so 8.5 by Mr. Federico Fellini. This came out in 1963. A harried movie director retreats into his memories and fantasies.
It's a really limited description. Again, sometimes these synopses, I'm like, are they going for extreme brevity?
Yeah, well, this is a longer storyline. Guido is a film director trying to relax after his last big hit. He can't get a moment's peace. However, with the people who have worked with him in the past constantly looking for more work, he wrestles with his conscience but is unable to come up with a new idea. While thinking, he starts to recall major happenings in his life and all the women he has loved and left. An autobiographical film of Fellini about the trials and tribulations of filmmaking. Is that better?
That is much better, because that's a much more accurate description. Because it's like, it's about a lot more than just an artist who is experiencing a block. Like there's more going on here than that. It's almost like about the creation of an artist. Like there's a little bit of like you said, autobiography, but it's a different style than you would assume an autobiography to be. And he really uses this character more as like, sort of a, not doppelganger, but he's like sort of his avatar in the film world in a way. It's one of my favorite movies. I think it's one of the first, a lot of people who end up going to film school, this is one of those ones that I think a lot of people read about when they're young and they watch it when they're a teenager. And it's mind-blowing to you as a teen because it's just so different from everything you've seen. It kind of opens your eyes to just how much more is possible with movie making, how much more you can do on a movie screen than you thought you could. All these crazy flights of fancy, literal flights, of course, and one of the famous shots where he seems to be floating like a kite. But there's so many ways in which it's like, this is how a filmmaker is telling you how they're feeling or what's going on inside. They have all these tools at their disposal to do this with. And so it's kind of like this journey through this man's mind and life. And ironically, the character that you're like, my name is on the screen, that character actually does wear glasses like that in this movie. She, which I don't know if you remember, but yeah, she's like the wife of the director. But yeah, she's got this intellectual look with the glasses.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this. I think it's been a good 10 years. As far as Oscars go, this won for Best Costume Design, black and white. It won Best Foreign Language Film, which is what it was called at the time. And it was nominated for Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Art Direction, black and white.
Luke, I'm sorry that you did not get to watch this. Paisan is a great film too, but I really do wish that they had put this in your class. But now is your chance. You've got to watch this. If you love film, you need to watch this movie. It's required viewing for any cinephile, any film student, anybody who claims they care about cinema as an art form. This is required viewing. If you have not seen it yet, you must. And I love that Walter brought up Nine. This movie also inspired a Broadway musical that was then turned into a movie I think 2 decades after that musical was brought to Broadway. The movie version of the musical based on this is dreadful. It's a dreadful film.
A couple fun songs in it, but otherwise, I remember seeing it in theaters, and that's the last time I've seen it. But I have.
That's when I saw it too. Songs. It made me very angry.
Italiano, Guido.
Well, the songs, I don't have a problem with the songs. I think the songs are fine.
I remember it being a little lackluster for sure.
I remember the movie itself was just
Italian.
Well, yeah.
Italian. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought it was funny that they cast Fergie to play that character because that's like the overweight sex worker on the beach who dances to scare and entertain children in this film. That's the role they gave to Fergie. And like, it's kind of insulting to her, but okay. I liked her performance of the song, but the problem I had with that movie is like, okay, this whole movie is about what is possible in cinema, that you can go anywhere and do anything with the magic of cinema in a way. That's part of, what you're seeing in this film. It's really showing you that as often as possible. All the fantastical things you can do and create. And so they make this movie version of this musical based on it. And I'm like, okay, your movie version of the musical should also understand that you are making a movie. And you have the opportunity to go and do amazing things with all these musical numbers. Because it's like, oh, imagine this movie as a musical. Can you imagine like all the insane, amazing musical numbers you can create out of it? And then what we get is putting all these scenes that should be great movie fantasy moments onto a stage that the camera stays almost stationary and cuts around. I'm like, okay, you literally restricted all the cinematic fantasy elements to a stage because Rob Marshall doesn't know how to make a movie without putting musical numbers in that exact form. Yeah. And he was just the worst choice to make that movie because they just ruined that musical. Luckily, we still have 8.5 to show us what this story should look like on screen.
For another really famous aspect of this film is the crazy musical score that goes with this. And that was composed by Nino Rota. If at one point in the movie you hear part of the theme for The Godfather in this, because
at least you hear some intervals that were then the main theme of The Godfather.
The Godfather later, but he obviously already had an idea for that score, so you will hear that. I'm never gonna dress up again, guys. I swear to God.
It's just the details, Amy. You have to think of the details of the character because it's hard for anyone to dress up and look like the lusty Italian Marcello Mastroianni, which was another famously bad move in the 9 movie where they cast pasty Daniel Day-Lewis to play an Italian film director it was bad casting, but she's not. I didn't even think Blues Brother because I didn't think the Blues Brothers wore actual spectacles. They wore sunglasses. But that's all. And Amy, you are going to dress up several times. Don't you even try to suggest that you're not doing it again, because we know you're going to do it.
Disheartened.
Rob's just being shady.
Anyway, for Pee Wee Herman fans, the score from Pee-wee's Big Adventure sounds almost identical to the score in this, and that's because it pretty much is. And Danny Elfman, he had never composed a film before when he was brought on to Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I forget who it was, but someone was like, I don't know, just watch 8.5 and see what that music is like, and it sounds almost exactly the same. And I didn't know that, and that's a movie that I'm extremely familiar with. And then when I finally watched 8.5, I was like, oh, why does this sound like Pee-wee's Big Adventure? And sure enough, that's what that is. So this movie has
inspiration
inspired so many other films in so many different ways, and that's just one of them with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. To answer your question, Luke, it is on HBO Max. It's also on the Criterion app, as well as lots of other Fellini films and featurettes. So if you want to learn more about Fellini, I would definitely watch this on Criterion versus HBO Max.
I'm going to see if does it have all the extra features on the Criterion?
I think
with it. I'm going to just double check real quick.
Yeah, I saw it had things, that's like Fellini on Fellini and things of that nature.
8.5.
But there's definitely a lot of more options on there. But please watch this film. I mean, this was one when we were looking up movies about movies. We both got super excited about this. Like, oh yeah, duh, 8.5.
Well, I mean, this was like the first choice in my brain. It was this movie. It's like the one. This is the ultimate movie about movies, about being a creative person trying to make a movie. Any filmmaker, it's like I said, required viewing, especially if you want to be a filmmaker. Like, if you haven't watched this film, I am ashamed. If you wanted to be a movie maker and you never watched this, essential. And when you watch, if you haven't seen it before, so Luke, I hope you love it. I know I love it. I haven't watched it for a few years, so it's going to be really fun.
For quite the trip with this film. It has a very non-linear storyline. It's kind of all over the place. I think it's funny that it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, because I was reading that, like many Italian films during that time, and I doubt they do this now, but for a long time, for those who know your Italian film history, all movies were shot MOS, without sound, no sound, and everything was dubbed after the fact. So some of the dialogue was actually created after things were shot. So, I mean, of course, we'll be watching it in Italian. We're reading English subtitles, so it's not going to match up anyway. But I'm sure for people who speak Italian too, they're like, what they're saying isn't matching their mouth at all.
That's a common thing.
Yes,
with a lot of these movies.
So that's the same in this, and I guess Fellini also was known for, and yet another reason why they needed to shoot without sound is he was known for just shouting things at the actors while they were actually filming, giving them direction.
Yeah, I remember there's a moment in the commentary because another famous Italian director, Lina Wertmüller, I think was either an assistant director or a production assistant. Somehow she was working on this film. And there's this scene with these old ladies coming in and they're all smoking. And he's telling Lina Wertmüller, don't stop smoking. Keep smoking. We need more smoke. He's yelling at everybody to keep smoking. So the set still has these clouds of cigarette smoke for the light to go through and stuff. But that was that was just happening while they were shooting the scene. Keep smoking in Italian. I can't say it in Italian because I don't know what the words are. I can see why this was nominated because this is also an incredible screenplay. I can't think of any other films that delve into the creative mindset.
How this all ended up kind of getting thrown together with things after the fact, even he almost abandoned this film because he experienced creative block as well. And then eventually that's kind of what this film kind of became about. Yeah, but he pulled it off, worked it out, and here we have 8.5 to bless us all with its majesty. But yeah, again, this is available on HBO Max and the Criterion app. Samir, are there any other things on Criterion that are worth?
It does not have the commentary. Oh no, it does. It has a commentary track, so I may actually watch it with the commentary track because I have seen this movie many times. But maybe I'll just watch it once without it and then watch it again with the commentary. But it has a special feature on Nino Rota. And for anybody who's a figure skating fan, we have heard our fill of Nino Rota scores on the ice. So it is always a pleasure to see the movie that the scores come from and hear the music with the film. That is amazing because skaters just abuse his score so much in their performances. Very few do justice to them. So there's a really good feature on Nino Rota in here, something called a director's notebook on Fellini. It has multiple artists talking about it. It says Terry Gilliam, Vittorio Storaro, who's the famous cinematographer, Mira Nair, famous director, another writer and director, Paul Feig, appearance of Fellini on a television program, another famous author, Michael Cunningham, talking about it. Ryan Johnson also giving his opinion on it. Like, there's multiple like testimonials from great, artists in cinema all talking about this movie. I'd say watch them after you've seen the film, because it's really wonderful to hear the words and all these different artists' interpretation of the film. But you should have that experience for yourself if you've never seen it, and don't listen to. So we didn't tell you a whole lot. We just talked about how much we love it. I really want everyone to have their moment with the movie, and then we can talk about what that moment was like for you after you've seen it, because this is one of the landmark accomplishments in the art of cinema that is here. Like, it's not a secret. Everyone should have heard of it, and if you haven't, well, you are watching it tonight.
Yes, you are. Again, available on HBO Max and Criterion, or I'm sure available to rent somewhere else. Tomorrow we will be discussing 8.5 after the movie, and then moving on to another Friday double feature. Tomorrow's is on art direction, which was another award for a long time, that had both a color and a black and white category. We will be focusing on The Red Shoes and Great Expectations, which both won, not the same year, but they both won for color and black and white at some point. Thank you guys for watching today, and hope you enjoy 8.5. Check out our Patreon. I tried putting the link in the comments. I don't know if you guys could see it, but it wasn't showing up.
I didn't see it there, but try again.
I don't know. Anyway, it's here, patreon.com, book club for movies. Also check out our merchandise on Redbubble. Just go to Redbubble and type in book club for movies and you will find it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Mwah.